Well, Caleb, welcome back to the Annuity Happy Hour.
Welcome back.
How's the week been, man?
Oh man, it's actually been really good. It's been a really good week. It's been so this week I haven't been traveling nearly as much. I mean, you go back. I think I talked about it a couple weeks ago, the end of August through the beginning of October, and it was like every week.
Nonstop.
I think, yeah, that 6-week period, I was gone for 4 weeks. Not straight, but like during those weeks,
yeah.
I had trips. So it was actually really nice to be back. And then, too, when you're on those trips, you know, things build up. You miss calls, emails, all that kind of stuff. So you can't stay on top of it as quickly as it comes in. So being back home, it's felt like, oh man, this week feels to a degree like slow. But also it's nice to kind of get some projects going that I've been wanting to get going for a little while. So
Nice.
Migrating all my stuff over to our agency marketing suite and actually using that tool for myself and all that kind of stuff. So, And I've had some great conversations with new agents this week. I was talking with one guy, he's a Medicare agent who he lost $100,000 this year in residual commissions because of the way that, so there's
like he already has, or he's planning on losing that.
That's his
after
projection.
AEP and everything. Yeah, gotcha.
Because WellCare kind of revoked their
Goodness.
residual. Yeah, so he took about $100,000 loss, and he was wanting to start talking about annuities and start incorporating annuities, and he's a great agent. Like you kind of envision relatively young, go-getter. A lot of personality, great, communicator, good salesperson. So he's kind of got all those things going for him that you like to see. But he's also trying to get going on the annuity side. And so we talked
Is
about
his name Caleb North?
No, his name's not Caleb North. I had never, I don't know that you can pay me enough to do Medicare. For those of you that do, God bless you. But like, my goodness, I don't, that is just, that's
It's good for if you're trying to build up a company and exit, because there's a ton of residual.
Yeah.
Historically.
Yeah, the residual.
Who knows about how that actually will play out in the long run, but sorry to interject.
No, not at all. And so he took a 6-figure hit this year to his revenue, and we were talking, and he's already got potential annuity cases that he's working on, like north of $4 million in premium that he's already potentially worked, brand new on the annuity side.
That's amazing.
Doesn't know like carriers, products, how to position the stuff, but he's just kind of had conversations with people about assets and retirement and things like that. And so he's got about $4 million, almost $5 million in potential premium in the hopper.
Wow.
In big cases too, like one's like $1.5 million. So, I mean, I think it's not crazy,
well, sure,
but
yeah.
that's 10 times the average case size.
Right.
So, relatively large cases. And anyways, we were working on that, and I told him, I said, man, my goal between now and the end of the year is to basically 3 or 4x what you lost in your residual commissions in earned annuity commissions. So you lost $100,000. I'd love to get to the end of this year and you have earned $300,000 or $400,000 in commissions just from annuity sales, and the numbers are there to support it. It's just a matter of we're down to
making it happen.
Yeah, a couple months left in the year to do that much premium with a brand new agent. I mean, that
Q4,
would be
though,
a
is typically
huge feat.
Q4 is typically a big quarter, though, for agent production.
Yeah.
So at least historically within our organization, our ecosystem, at least.
Well, I think a big part of that is that we just don't subscribe to the idea that people don't want to meet.
Right.
So, like, if you're talking with an IMO marketer from some other place that maybe they're like, for us, right? 2 of our partners are producers in the field. So when they go and they have some of their best quarters of the year in the fourth quarter, like I think for Chad, 5 out of the last 8 years or 6 out of the last 9 or something like that, his best quarter of the year has been Q4. It's like, okay, well, to me then that indicates that you don't need the fourth quarter. It doesn't have to be a bad quarter.
Right.
Like, it can be a fantastic 3-month period for production. And you look at that time period too, and you think, oh, that must just be a big October. No, that's like November and December being some of the biggest months of the year.
Especially when people slow down, like people's lives slow down.
Yeah.
So most people, or most agents, I would say, or many agents, I won't say most, but many agents actually believe that, hey, when the holidays come around, people are going to, they're going to be too busy and they're not going to want to meet. And suddenly they kind of cast this, vision forward for their business that they're going to be slow.
Right.
Whereas, I know historically for Chad, and I'm sure it's very similar for Jesse, but Chad's always said, like, hey, that's when people's lives are slowing down a little bit. They've got less other commitments outside of just taking care of themselves and their family. So typically people actually have more time because things are slowing down at work and all these other kinds of things.
Right. Well, and I think a big piece of it too is if you're an agent that's partnered up with an IMO that's telling you that the fourth quarter is slow, then you're probably more inclined to just kind of coast out the year, whether or not it needs to be slow.
Right.
You've been told, oh yeah, it's a slow quarter, so I'm gonna just kind of take it easy, whatever. It's like, well, no, I'm here to tell you that it doesn't have to be slow if you'll keep pressing, keep the gas pedal down, so to speak. Obviously, the week of Thanksgiving, the week of Christmas, those weeks are pretty much off the table. But that's 1 week out of a month.
Right.
So out of that 2-month period, you've still got 6 other weeks, 7 weeks of good opportunity for production. And simultaneously, because a lot of other agents subscribe to that idea that it slows down, not because of clients, just because they slow down, it means that you have less competition.
Right.
So, and people that are willing to meet during the holidays, this is according to Chad, but people that are willing to meet during the holidays are apparently very, very high intent individuals. Like they're easier to get the deal done because they look at it with urgency enough to actually meet with you during the holidays.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you're getting leads in November before Thanksgiving, call them in November before Thanksgiving and try to set an appointment. If you're getting leads in December before Christmas, call them. Like if the leads are coming in, it's because people are reaching out.
Right.
And if they're reaching out, it's because they're clearly not fazed by the holidays. So don't I guess put your potentially incorrect perception on them and call it their intent to slow down. It's like that's not the reality.
And you know what I often see and hear is agents actually slow their marketing down leading into even November.
Yeah.
So as we're getting into November, December, right, these later months in the year, don't crank your marketing budget down.
Yeah.
Like let your marketing budget stay consistent. And those leads that come in, yes, you might get maybe some fewer leads, maybe, right? But at the same time, the intent of those leads, as we said from this example with Chad, like they tend to actually be higher intent prospects.
Yeah.
And so
Definitely.
don't crank down your marketing dollars when we get into November, December. Let those marketing dollars stay there so that you can actually have the potential to still have a strong quarter.
Yeah. I agree 100%, and I think, too, that it's actually a fantastic opportunity for those of you that are trying to get leads in a specific territory that perhaps you haven't been able to get leads in the past, to reach back out to those lead vendors and see if they've had anybody drop off. Because it is a common time period for people to shut off their leads and then try to reactivate them at the top of the year.
Right, that's a good point.
So if you are getting leads, don't turn them off. I recommend don't even scale them back. And then if you're trying to get leads in a specific area and you haven't been able to historically, reach back out to them and see if somebody else has dropped off. Because there are other agents out there that are shutting off their leads when they shouldn't be because of the holidays.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Well, how was the agent's response when you were talking with him about 3X and his lost revenue?
He's excited about it.
Yeah.
And he's for it. He understands it's going to be some work. But he's got the premium in place to do it if we can get the stuff closed. So
now, question on that, is that premium off of Medicare clients?
Some of it.
Okay.
Not all of it.
Okay.
One of them I think is a neighbor.
Oh, so just some random stuff too. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's just, I mean, guys, here's the deal. I was talking to a brand new agent. He's not brand new in the insurance space, brand new to the annuity side. He's a captive agent. And he's considering making the transition over to being an independent. This separate agent, not the one I was just talking about a minute ago with Medicare. Different guy. Talking about making the transition from captive to independent, and was basically just trying to pick my brain on, like, how do you do that? How do you make the transition? How do you start in the annuity world? What do you need in capital? What do you pieces that need to be in play? What do you have to have done? Those types of things. And I told him, I said, man, the more willing you are to accept rejection, the more opportunity you'll create for yourself to write business, and simultaneously, the less it'll cost you. And what I mean by that is willingness to go up and start conversations with people.
Mm-hmm.
So this other agent that I was talking about earlier, being willing to have a conversation with the next door neighbor.
Right.
Those types of things, right? Where it's like, I'm going to put myself out there. It might feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm placing myself in a position to be rejected. The more willing you are to accept rejection, the more opportunity you'll create for yourself to be accepted, and simultaneously, the more opportunity you'll create without any overhead.
Yep.
So leads are expensive. Marketing is expensive. If you're limited on your capital, then you've got to be willing to put your neck out there, so to speak.
Yeah, true, true.
And that's just the way it goes. And we were talking, and he asked me just straight up, what do you think people need, capital-wise to actually get started if they weren't doing that, if they were buying leads? And I said, man, I would encourage you, don't start with less than 20 grand. Now, can you? Sure.
Not for the first month, but you're saying built up in reserves.
Because the way that I broke that 20,000 down was about $5,000 approximately, depending on where you get it done, for logo design, website development, taking that and then putting that on social medias, having a business page on Facebook, having a business page on LinkedIn, those types of things, to where when people search you, you're going to actually show up.
Right.
Because
establishing the brand assets, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'll put it this way. If not having those things in place cost you a $100,000 deal, in other words, $100,000 in production fell through as a result of not having that, you've lost more than it would have cost you to have it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and $100,000 is less than the industry average
that's
case.
less than the average case size.
So,
yeah. So and this is, I think we've talked about this before. The greatest cost in our industry for agents is not the cost of branding. It's not the cost of leads. It's not the cost of training. It's none of those things. It's always the cost of not writing business. It's always the cost of, I could have written this piece and I didn't because of XYZ. I know of a marketer who was working with an agent that's relatively new, had the opportunity to write over a $900,000 policy. Illustrated the policy or the product, explained it, articulated it, answered some questions. The deal fell through ultimately because of a lack of expertise. Like, that was really what it boiled down to. That agent just didn't have what she needed knowledge-wise to be able to get that $900,000 deal closed. Now, had she spent a few $100, a few $1,000 on good training, mentorship, something like that, she might have been able to capitalize on an almost $70,000 commission.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't spend the pennies,
right,
you're missing out on the dollars.
Right.
So a lot of times agents will try to pinch pennies and they'll forego dollars to do so. In other words, not spending the dollars on marketing, not spending the dollars on branding, not spending the dollars on training is ultimately going to cost you more.
Yeah, and I think that's a great thing that agents can do heading into the end of the year. Invest, right? Invest in yourself, invest in your business, invest in the things that are actually going to propel you forward in 2025.
Right.
Invest in training or mentorship. It doesn't have to be with us. Find somebody that aligns with you. If it's us, great. We'd love to have you.
Yeah.
But simultaneously, invest in the tools and the stuff necessary to actually have things in place to make your business have higher return on your investment next year. Mm-hmm. If you don't have the brand assets, get the brand assets.
Right.
I mean, all the things that you need to do and that that you need, this is a perfect time to actually not pinch the pennies.
Right. So
that next year you can set your business up for more success.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was the kind of the 5,000 of the 20 that I was referring to. The other 15 I was allocating to training and marketing. And that would really cover about a quarter's worth of leads in marketing.
Yeah.
You could get 3 months worth of leads in marketing on $5,000 a month. But the reason you want to have that saved up going into it, as opposed to just 1 month's worth of leads in marketing, because a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll save up, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, $8,000, whatever it is, and that'll be 1 month's worth of leads. So then they'll buy leads for a month. They'll have no more capital to buy leads the next month. They might have some deals closed, but because of the sales cycle, they might not be paid yet.
Right.
So they haven't received the actual monetary return on the investment. If they had a couple months or 3 months worth of leads cost saved up, they could buy leads in that second month and then probably see the return from the first month in that second without having a lapse in their leads and marketing. So the thing you don't want to do is start a lead program and then 1 month later have to stop the lead program and then try and start it back up again and then have to stop it again. It's like that creates so much
volatility.
It really is so much volatility that it would be better for you to delay your start by months potentially, so that you can have a smooth start as opposed to a rocky start. Because that's one thing I promise you, it messes with the psyche. It affects the perception of the business. It affects the perception of the leads. It affects all of it.
Yeah.
So you really do yourself well by having, I encourage agents to have 3 months worth of leads saved up and ready to go, because of the nature of the sales cycle.
Yep.
So that was our whole conversation. It was interesting because he understood, like, when you talk about those types of things, it's pretty intuitive. Like people may not think it going into it, but when you explain it, it's like it clicks. And they're like, oh, yeah, that makes total sense. And that's probably why I failed the first time I started. Like this guy, he tried to do it before, and it didn't work out. And it was that tumultuous nature, that volatility of trying to get things ramped up. It just didn't work for him.
Right.
So now you explain it in a different way. It's a way higher target of capital to start with than what most people would probably want to start with. But when you explain it, it's like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. And this guy left with so much hope.
That's awesome.
Like I can't tell you, he probably said 4 or 5 times on that call how appreciative he was and how much hope and excitement he had as a result of somebody just shooting straight with him, even if it wasn't the most glamorous thing to hear. It's like, do you want to be told, hey, yeah, you realistically should have about $20,000 to start up? No. Do you need it? I think it makes it better. Can an agent go and just start with no capital and just go and, door knock or call the phone book or something and end up creating returns? Sure. But
those are the exceptions, not the norms.
Exactly. Those are the exceptions. And the way that I always put it is, if you have time, you can afford to have less capital. If you don't have time, you've got to have capital.
Right. Yeah, especially when people are transitioning. They're transitioning from a level of success in a different line of business or something else when they can't afford to have a dip in monetary income.
Right.
Like, you have to have the capital, or else you have to have the time.
Yep.
And you have to invest the time without necessarily knowing that monetary return is going to be there.
Right.
If you're trying to transition from a different line of business.
In most other lines of business, there are going to be cross-selling opportunities.
Right.
Whether you're doing P&C, health, Medicare, life insurance, like if you're doing anything in insurance and you're trying to segue over to adding annuities or transition fully to annuities, whatever that looks like, there's almost always going to be some cross-sell opportunities, even with what you're already doing. So my encouragement in those types of situations is let it be a little bit of a slower process. You don't need it to be an overnight success. And trying to make it an overnight success creates a ton of risk. So if you're willing to accept a little bit less risk, but also simultaneously defer the results a little bit, then you can have a much smoother ramp-up period, a much more organic ramp-up period. You can begin to learn, so your overhead just for training is low. That's not going to cost you very much.
Right.
You begin to learn how to sell annuities, what annuities are, the problems they solve, all those types of things. And then you start looking for those cross-selling opportunities, and you make commissions, you make some sales, you make commissions, and now you're able to leverage what you've earned on the annuity side to continue to grow the annuity side.
Right.
As opposed to having to try to cold turkey cut out the thing that's already paying the bills and keeping the lights on to try to have an overnight success in a brand new thing. It's like, I don't ever recommend doing that.
But where that gets a little bit tricky, though, is if someone's transitioning from a captive agent.
Yes.
They might not have any rights to their book.
Most of the time they don't.
So, generally that's the case. And so that's where you have to be especially, diligent to have those reserves built up.
Right.
And so plan ahead. So if you're a captive agent listening to this and you're like, hey, how do I become independent? How do I actually because I was talking with an agent this week, great producer. I mean, fantastic producer. He's doing a ton of IUL business, starting to have these, the feelings that we hear a lot from IUL agents that, have the high ethics and integrity and stuff like that. They're like, man, I don't know if this is going to actually do what these products are illustrating that they're going to do. And that's a very real thing because they're often over illustrated.
Yep.
So, but it's one of these kinds of things where he's kind of in a semi-captive. He's technically not captive, but kind of. It's more of an LOA model. And like even comp and stuff like that, it's not the full amount. And so it's interesting when you're transitioning from those models, you have to have a little bit of reserves built up because it's going to have to be a clean break when it happens.
Right.
And so if you're an agent right now listening to this that's saying, hey, I want to make that transition from a captive, model to more of an independent model, and I want to build my own agency, build my own business, awesome. There's no issue with the captive scenario in a lot of cases as well. There's a lot of great captive agencies that we've seen.
Yeah.
And that do it the right way, that do it with ethics, high integrity, all that kind of stuff. Pay people well.
Sure.
And with less risk to the individual who's actually participating in the sales cycle.
Right.
But if you're trying to make that transition, like make sure that you've thought through the details and you don't just kind of willy-nilly decide, hey, I'm just going to go move my contracts over here and suddenly everything's gone, right? Commissions that you have in the pipeline are gone.
Yep.
Your book of business to cross-sell is gone.
Oh, yeah.
All these different kinds of things. So you have to be really diligent about that to make sure that you're doing it the right way in those scenarios.
Totally true. And one thing that I think captive agents can do to try to reduce the risk a little bit, because there's for a captive agent going independent in a new line of business, there's kind of two risks, or the risk is twofold, I guess you could say. Well, number one, most of the time giving up their existing book of business. Okay, so having basically nothing to write and then simultaneously starting something new. Both of those things add layers of risk in and of themselves. One thing that a currently captive agent could do to try and reduce the risk, at least on one side, is continue selling the same types of products that they've historically sold, right? So if you've been a captive agent selling life insurance, well, you understand life insurance. So keep selling life insurance. Once you've gone independent, life insurance marketing's way cheaper. If you've historically been a captive agent selling PNC, continue selling PNC, but maybe do that independent. So all that to say, if you stick to a degree with what you know and what you're already an expert in and what you can sell pretty easily, it reduces the risk of not having sales, of not having revenue coming in. And then still being able to learn and add the new thing in that independent model. So that's one thing I think captive agents can do. But they are definitely in a position to assume a little bit more risk in that transition than what an independent agent adding a new line of business would be assuming.
For sure.
So,
for sure.
Yeah, but it's always encouraging.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's encouraging to hear people being encouraged by just shooting straight with them and being honest and real.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with a guy a couple days ago, and I said something at one point. I interrupted him, and I said, hey, I want to shoot straight with you, and I don't want there to be any surprises, and I clarified something, and he said, I really appreciate you saying that because I don't like surprises. Yep. And so often people go into these business relationships, and they have surprises. Yep. There's some kind of, clause or something that, was not clear that they thought was going to happen that ends up not happening, or that they think they're going to cover this thing that they don't. And man, the amount of times that I hear agents getting burned like that, it's kind of sad.
It is.
But it's very easily avoidable as well. Just be honest, be transparent, and be real with the agents that you're talking with.
Yeah.
It's a very easy way to operate.
Yeah. And I guarantee you, I guarantee you, it could affect the outcome of that deal or that arrangement, right? In other words, you could shoot straight with somebody and they could decide, oh, yeah, you know what, never mind, this isn't the right fit for me.
Right.
Which actually is better for them to have determined that on the front end and you have your character intact than for them to find that out 6 months later and then you've degraded the relationship entirely.
Exactly.
Because somebody that understands character can always come back down the road.
Right.
There's somebody where there's no trust, there is no perception of solid character, they're not coming back.
Exactly.
So congrats, you had them for half a year and now they're gone, right?
Or
whatever,
in many
you
cases,
name
it's
it.
like a couple months.
Yeah. Yeah. Regardless, if you
Right.
have them for 5 years and then they're gone, but you've degraded it. Like, what, to me, the name, having a good name is worth more than what you could potentially have
Earn.
monetarily.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, just do it the right way on the front end, and then if most of the time it won't change their decision, they'll actually feel more confidence in working with you because they can see the character.
Mm-hmm.
But then number two, if it does affect their decision to work with you or not, that's good.
Yeah.
Good, because
Well,
it wasn't a good fit.
And what's funny is in that conversation, it was actually me disclosing that we have an IMO.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, just want to let you know, and I don't want there to be any surprises. We help agents kind of in every different area that they would need it. So we can help with training, we can help with software, we can help with the tech stack, all that kind of stuff. And simultaneously, for agents that need it, we can help them with the IMO, FMO side, contracts, all that kind of stuff, case design. So I said, I just don't want there to be any surprises. And I know that you're coming in over here on this side for the training and mentorship and some of the technology stuff that we have. So just want you to know that there's going to be times that we talk about that, but there's not ever obligation or pressure to become part of that.
Yeah.
And it was like very well received. And there was immediate trust built versus had I not disclosed that, now there's trust, severed because he's like, oh man, they're just trying to recruit me.
Right.
Well, no, we're not.
Yeah.
Pretty plain and simple.
Yeah. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Just be real, be honest, be genuine, authenticity.
Yep.
There was a study done, and I can't remember where the study was done, and I honestly can't remember even what they did, but it had to do with something about measuring the frequency emitted by a human being. So matter has frequency, right? So here, I guess if we're going to get into physics of it, you have your cells, which are made up of atoms. Atoms are made up of quarks. Well, actually, atoms are made up of protons, neutrons, and electrons. You know what protons, neutrons, and electrons are made up of? Quarks. Do you know what quarks are made up of? Sound. Matter is made up of sound. Okay?
I'm listening. I'm here.
What is sound? It's vibration, it's movement, there's frequency involved. So every piece of matter has frequency to a degree. So they measured the different frequencies emitted by a human being when they were in a specific state of existence. So when they're, feeling angry, when they're feeling sad, when they're extremely happy, when they're in love, whatever, all these different states of emotion and mindset and all those different things.
Real quick, what's the one that you feel the most when you're with me? I'm kidding. You don't actually have to answer.
No, I'm trying to think of the right word. There's a good word for it. It would be I don't want to say relaxation because that's not the right word, but it's like free
peace.
Yeah, peace, freedom to be me.
That's good to know.
So I've never felt like, oh, I've got to be somebody or put on a face or what. You can be authentic.
That's one of the highest compliments right there.
Really?
Yeah, because it's real easy to be around people that you feel like you got to try to be somebody else. That was something when I was younger, you deal with that kind of stuff, with the fear of man kind of stuff, where you're working through that stuff and realizing oh, I'm just going to be me and that's going to be good enough. And if it's not for you, then see you later.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Which is what they found to be the strongest, highest, most attractive, quote unquote, frequency that was emitted was when somebody was operating in a place of authenticity.
Interesting.
When they were saying something that they didn't just believe to be true, but knew it to be true. Like that.
So that was higher than love and other.
In that particular study, it was.
Interesting.
So
Wow.
there is something particularly gravitational, magnetic about authenticity.
Interesting.
So just be real.
Yeah, and when we say authenticity, we're not just saying like just record a video without a filter on it. Like
Although there's something authentic about it, but it's
but it's weird though because it gets kind of twisted and that becomes like
Right.
inauthentic to do that because now you're just playing the game to do the thing that you think people want.
Yeah.
Which means that you're actually doing the opposite of authentic.
Yeah.
Crazy psychological stuff in marketing, man.
It is, man. It is. But yeah, there was in that study nothing more magnetic about a person than them being their authentic self.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. It's actually really good.
Yeah. And they also said that women have a higher capacity for detecting that type of thing.
Oh, interesting.
That like women tend to be
detecting authenticity.
They tend to be more sensitive to and again, I keep using the word frequency because that's really like again, every piece of matter has a frequency.
It would be like saying like, hey, I walk into a room and like there's an aura about you.
Yes.
That would be like
they talk about vibe.
Mystical way of saying that. Yeah.
Yes. The vibes or whatever.
No, that's the Gen Zers.
Well,
if you're Gen Z, please don't be offended.
I'm not Gen Z.
No, I'm not saying you, but listeners.
Yeah. That's kind of tracking with the same idea here, and it sounds kooky, right? But it's like it's just physics.
I believe
playing
it, though.
out in a biological way. Yeah, and they say women tend to be a little bit more sensitive to those things than men. So that's
probably because women tend to go a little bit deeper in general than men.
Mm-hmm.
Like men tend to be a little bit more surface level.
Yeah. Oh, it's so true. I was hanging out with some buddies one night at the Cigar Vault, and we're just outside having cigars, whatever. And I kid you not, the vast majority of the conversation was these guys talking about their high school days. I'm not even joking. High school days. They're like telling stories from when they were in high school, and these are like grown men. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. The next night, that same week, I was hanging out with this was like 2 years ago or something. I was hanging out with some of my female friends, and the conversation was entirely different. It was like deep. It was existential. It was crazy.
Interesting.
And I made the comment to them about it. I was like, y'all, literally last night I was hanging out with a bunch of dudes, and the conversation was about like high school. I'm like, this is an entirely different experience. Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. But they talk about like a woman's intuition or a mother's intuition or whatever. It's like there's an element of that it's not just this like ethereal thing.
Right.
There's a sensitivity to the atmosphere and like what's going on in a sense. But
yeah, well, being married to a mom of two, like I would attest to that for sure.
Yeah. So all that to say, if you're trying to be a better agent, be more authentic, and you'll just be you. Like, be the true, genuine you. Unashamed. I think that's a huge element as to why Chad has the success that he does.
Oh, yeah.
He's just him.
I've had people talk to me before about Chad. Like, literally, Chad's a partner of mine.
Yeah.
And I've had an agent before talk to me about Chad, and they're like, man, I can't stand when he does this or this or this or this, but I really want to work with you guys.
Yeah.
Because they know that Chad is true to who Chad is,
Just
and
being
his
real.
success is unquestionable. And so you might not like the way that he posts about his armor that he has in his house or his guns or, whatever else it might be based on, your beliefs and your viewpoints and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, but you can't argue with the guy as just who he is.
Right.
That's kind of what we all try to model is like, we are who we are. I am who I am. I don't really care if I am not liked by somebody.
Yeah.
I think you would say the same thing.
Yeah. I really don't.
Yeah.
I used to.
Caleb has a whole phrase of something about how I argue with him about this all the time. Negative attention is still good attention or something like that. I don't know. I disagree with that. But
Well, you're talking about marketing?
I don't know how the context that you use it. I'm going to derail us here, but.
Oh, goodness. Well, I used to kid because I do like to be like, I like to be the class clown. I like to be the funny guy or whatever. It's just fun. I like to put the spotlight on myself. I don't like it being put on me.
In a positive and negative way.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. It's still
Try
like
golfing with Caleb. I won't even tell you what he says about himself when he golfs.
It's things I would have been spanked for when I was a kid.
Yeah, I gave you a spanking on the golf course.
Oh, no,
kidding.
but when we're partners, Chad and Jesse do.
There were no spankings given to Caleb.
Oh, not literally, but metaphorically.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Verbal spanking, for
Dude,
sure.
Marissa tore us both up that one time.
Yeah.
Golly.
Yep. When my wife golfed with Caleb and I one time, she destroyed us.
How many? Yeah, it was like, I don't even know how many strokes she
By
beat
at least
both of us
7
by.
or 8.
Yeah, it was
At
ridiculous.
least. It was probably 7 or 8 to you and another 3 or 4 for me.
Yeah, whatever. I doubt it.
No, like I was 3 or 4 behind y'all.
No, you tend to be better than me,
I don't know.
I think. No?
I'm either on or off.
Yeah.
It's not really an in-between for
When
me.
you're okay, your short game's usually solid. Like you can usually work the wedges and the putter pretty good. And if you can come out of the tee box well and you're not sliced into the fairway on the hole over,
Right.
like it's tough to beat you.
Right.
Real tough. But
And all that said, though, with Chad, with his authenticity,
it works.
it's the thing, man. Chad is just who Chad is. And that's what we try to model as an organization as well. You know, good organizations, that's what they do. They just are who they are. I'm not saying that they're brash or they're cold or they're, you know, unkind or, you know, whatever. Some are, and those agencies usually aren't very good.
Right.
Or they don't have a long shelf life. But we just try to be who we are. And, you know, we are a fit for the people we're a fit for, and we're not for the people that we're not.
Yeah.
But, you know, we also aren't giving up a part of ourselves to get money.
Right.
And that's just, you know, something that that's a line in the sand that we've drawn is like we have, you know, morals and values and things that, you know, we believe. And, you know, we'll work with agents that even contradict those things to certain degrees. I'm not saying that they're contradicting them in an unethical or illegal way, but we've got plenty of people that work with us that have very different viewpoints and beliefs than we do.
Totally.
And that's the beautiful thing about it. I mean, that's, to me, the essence of our country, America, right? It's like you get to like be working with people who are totally different than you toward a common goal, a common good. Yeah, it's a whole nother rabbit trail that we don't need to go down. But
I could go down that rabbit trail.
But there's something beautiful about it.
Yeah.
And we talk about it sometimes, even, you know, in the landscape of just the relationships that we have. You and I have just personally, as friends, talked about this many times about, man, I don't need to be hanging out with only people that are like me.
Right.
It doesn't actually propel me forward at all.
Exactly.
It doesn't sharpen me, doesn't help me become a better man, a better person, a better father, you know, a better husband, any of that stuff. I need different perspectives, different experiences. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, that's not going to waver me from what I believe.
Right.
And I think that's the most important thing is you believe what you believe, but like be willing to be stretched by others as well.
Yep.
So you can actually go deep in believing what you believe in and realizing, you know, the merit to the things that you actually do identify with and believe as an individual.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I could go on that. I'm so passionate about people that disagree, being able to see across the disagreement and appreciate the other person and have cordial conversation. And that's one of the things that breaks my heart about the State of the Union in 2024 is it's not super common to see people on each side of the political spectrum willing to have a cordial conversation with another person and end the conversation still in disagreement, being okay with disagreement, and then able to hug it out and say, hey, I love you, fellow American.
Right.
Like, my goodness. Like, we ought to be able to do that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the division is
And it's both ways.
totally.
It happens both ways.
It does. And the division to me of the people on political lines is one of the greatest heartbreaks, I think, of America in 2024. But having conversations with people that see things differently, whether that's with religion, whether that's politics, whether that's how you do business, whatever that is, being able to seek out what they think and then why.
Right.
Because if you can understand why somebody else thinks this particular way that is in opposition to you, it forces you to consider, well, why do I think what I think? So it's actually an opportunity for you to understand you and what you believe to a higher degree than what you previously did. But if I'm hanging out with a bunch of people that I tell them this microphone is blue, and they're like, oh, yeah, that is a blue microphone. Oh, yeah, it's a blue microphone. The next thing you know, we've got groupthink, and nobody knows why is this microphone blue. Turns out it's not blue, it's black. but we've all just agreed that it was blue.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you got to be able to. But if I were to tell you this is blue, and you're like, man, Caleb, actually, no, that's black.
Right.
Well, wait a second. Why is it black? Well, because X, Y, Z. Why is it blue?
Right.
Because X, Y, Z. Oh, wait, it's actually not blue. It is black. Now, like that, and that's such a silly example. But hanging out with somebody that sees things differently and willing to push back on kind of where you're at and explain what they think and why they think it. Oh my goodness. It's just, there's so much goodness that comes out of that. And that to me is the essence of iron sharpening iron.
Mm-hmm.
Iron,
Totally.
like it's moving in different directions.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole premise of iron sharpening iron. It's not iron moving with iron. It's there's abrasion, there's friction, it's heat, it's removal. I mean, it's not a comfortable thing.
Right.
But it produces a better result.
Right. And I think even, tying that into, an agent building a business in the industry, when you're finding and aligning with other companies that are actually going to help you, propel forward to whatever that thing is you're trying to achieve, we're not suggesting here that you have to go find somebody that's just the opposite of you and that's how you sharpen yourself. That's not necessarily true, but be willing to be sharpened is more of what we're saying is, be willing to align with people that, you might have commonalities, you might have a common goal, common vision point, whatever that thing might be for you. You might align in a lot of ways. You might, not align in other ways. But the reality is, so long as you are willing to be sharpened by somebody else, that is one of the biggest indicators of success to me. If I'm like in a meeting, talking about a potential partnership or something that we're doing, I kind of like throw some questions out and throw some different things out, suggestions, business concepts out, and I just see how they respond. And if there's like an immediate like pride thing that comes up, I'm like, this is probably, man, there's a lot of really good things here, but that thing was a red flag. This is probably not going to be the deal for us.
Yeah.
Because if there's not the willingness to like give and take, to be sharpened, to let the ideas actually formulate into something better than what we each might carry individually, it's not going to ever work out. Eventually, there's going to be a conflict that emerges because eventually it's going to matter for one person over the other versus the collective.
Right.
And I think that's super important.
It is. It's
super important.
It's critical.
Yeah.
So that's good stuff.
Good stuff. We could have gone way further on that.
We could have. We could wrap it up for this week.
Yeah, let's wrap it up for this week. But hey, all you agents, Caleb's empty here, but I'm still going to cheers him. Yeah, cheers to another great week. But I just want to say, be encouraged as you're going into this last quarter. You're in the middle of it right now. Mm-hmm. Realize that there is still so much hope for you to actually have crazy success in Q4. Totally. November, December are huge months. Don't sleep on them. Yep. Invest the money that you need to. Don't pinch the pennies, to save, or don't save the pennies to, avoid making dollars, right? Yeah. Actually invest the pennies so you can make the dollars. Right. Let both happen. And we fully believe that if you do that, you will have massive success closing out this year. Yeah. We've seen it time and time again. So we'll cheers it one more time. Cheers to another great week, y'all. To another great week.